The John, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast. John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole.
They're a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
Third primetime episode in the history of the program. Great to be with you on a Sunday evening. January 16th, 2022 is the year. It's episode 332 of the Anik and Florian podcast, starring three-time UFC title challenger Kenny Florian. It's great to see you, man. Hey, give me in primetime. I don't know what you're going to get. I mean, you know, a lot of things have happened before 6:30 or so p.m. Eastern time. How you doing, kid?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little down, a little depressed after the Patriots kind of got smoked last night, but
terrible.
We had a great main event, you know, so that saved it. So
thank God Calvin Kattar out of Methuen picked up the entire region because you know, I was wondering to what extent could the Boston athlete sort of lift up my spirits, right? Because I love Giga Chikadze. I have a great personal relationship, so even though, yes, we want to see somebody from the great state of Massachusetts or Tisha Torres out of Fall River, right? We want to see somebody on the duck boats get a championship parade, but I don't have a rooting interest when Calvin Kattar fights Giga Chikadze. Obviously, for Patriots and Bills, that did not go well. So generally speaking, nice to see the New England guy break through. We begin headlines with Calvin Kattar, and what a performance it was. And I don't know that you should classify me in his group of naysayers, right? But I didn't necessarily love this matchup. I thought there were a lot of questions to be answered for Calvin Kattar, given the year off, given the fact that, candidly, I've never seen UFC President Dana White more worried about a fighter's health and well-being after a fight than I saw him after the Max Holloway fight, which was exactly a year ago today in January of 2021. So many good things to say about Calvin Kattar, and we all have a lot of them. Ray Longo as well. But Kempflo, what were your thoughts on Kattar outpointing Giga Chikadze in a major way Saturday night?
Brilliant, just brilliant. I think that when you look at the backdrop of that last fight against Holloway, you know, he took so much damage. A record as far as significant strikes received goes. And, you know, not many people can bounce back from a beating like that, physically, mentally, spiritually. However, if you knew Calvin Kattar, you know he's as tough as they come, mentally, physically, spiritually. And more than anything else, you know, everyone talks about, you know, hey, just go out and pressure him. Well, it takes more than just pressure. You got to be able to fight your ass off, and you got to be technically sound, and you got to be in tip-top shape. Well, Kattar came back more technically proficient. He fought smarter. He was in tremendous shape. He kept a pace that was absolutely brutal, and he did something to Giga Chikadze that Giga had never really experienced in a fight before. And I say this all the time. I don't care what form of combat it is. If you are experiencing something for the first time, it is rare that that person responds perfectly well to that new stimulus. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant from Kattar for a couple different reasons. First of all, he went out and bullied Giga. Giga had never experienced that before. He brought a new weapon that, yes, we've seen him knock guys out with an elbow before, but to throw that many elbows at that kind of range, I thought was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So he brought, for me, a weapon that I don't think Giga was prepared for. I think the pacing really threw him off. You know, I don't think Giga was prepared to suffer like he did. Now, he responded beautifully, showed he had a tremendous chin, and also Kattar, again, with that chin, took some shots himself, but seemed to be unfazed by it. Again, I was blown away by the performance. If you forgot about Calvin Kattar, shame on you. I thought Giga was going to win, right? But I mean, Calvin is a different fighter. He just looked way more technically aware, sound, and I was just very, very impressed.
You put it well, as usual. He looked to me like he could have gone another 3 rounds if need be, which just speaks to the shape that he was in. You know, the whole team deserves credit, but Tyson Chartier, it's just so consistent in terms of the approach, everything from the inspection zone, right? With all of these athletes, it's the same thing. They're creatures of habit. They're very disciplined, rents due every day, all that stuff. Insert your cliche, but just a lot of hard workers that are clear with their intentions. And I don't know, I was just blown away by the performance. And you're right with the elbows to lean on that weapon to that extent. And, sometimes we go ahead, Ken Flo, please.
Yeah, no, sorry. And one thing I left out, John, was also, you look at Giga. We talked about this leading into the fight. The most dangerous part of Giga's game is his kicking game. And if you're going into that fight, you go, well, how the hell do I take that away from him? Consistently, he was able to do that by backing up. It is extremely difficult, especially if you want to be a good body kicker, to go backwards and land that kick with effectiveness. It's extremely difficult. And because of that forward pressure from Kattar and the range at which he fought him, he never allowed Giga to really throw that competently. And even the first round, I think that early takedown, when he did throw the kick, it got in his head. He's going, shit, if I throw that again, I'm going to be on my back again. So again, the other thing to your point about Tyson Chartier, I think when you're seeing a fighter or a camp come at you from different angles, from different strategies, from using different tactics, to me, that's a sign of a good coach, right? It's not just, the same dudes. They're pumping out the same guys who are fighting the exact same way. This was a different approach, a unique approach. I thought it was really well done.
And imagine what it took, right, to rebuild this fighter, essentially. And, all the questions, right? Why didn't you throw in the towel against Max Holloway? Right. And why didn't they stop the fight to sort of reverse that and put that type of beating on Giga Chikadze? Borderline 10-8 in the fifth, did get a 10-8 from Chris Lee. Just an insane performance. And just so happy for the kid, man. When you think about where he was a year ago. And I don't know that Calvin Kattar, and there are some Chikadze angles on this that I want to get to. I don't know that Kattar's ever going to be able to totally distance himself from the Max Holloway fight, right? Because I feel like that was the greatest singular performance in UFC history, just in terms of one individual against another, records that won't be broken, right? And to come back from that, to take the requisite time, to make all those improvements that someone of your status speaks to, it's not that I thought he was incapable of it, but to do it like this and to win like 50-44, blown away.
You just don't see it, right? It's rare that you see someone be able to do that. So it speaks to the character of Calvin Kattar. It also speaks to the point that he's a guy who's willing to rebuild himself. Very few guys are going to look at themselves honestly and go, well, I had a bad night, or, my weight cut was bad. And they blame everyone else except for themselves. Whereas Calvin Kattar, it seemed like it was clear where he said, I got to be better. I got to bring some new weapons to the table. And he did that here against Chikadze.
So one thing Dominic Cruz said late in the fight, that he could all but guarantee that this is going to make Giga so much better. And it sort of dovetails with what you were saying about a lot of these experiences being firsts for him. So when you look at Chikadze, look like a world beater from 7-0, humbly now 7-1 in the UFC. What are your thoughts on how he'll rebuild, and maybe similarly to Kattar, try to get himself back into contention?
I think that for Giga, he showed a tremendous amount of heart. How many guys would have broken after that second round? I mean, the pacing and the pressure and the shots that were landed. I think there's very few people that would have been able to come back from that alone. Giga maybe was getting beaten throughout that fight, but he was still trying to win the fight. You can't say he looked for a way out. There's no way. He did his best. It wasn't always successful, but he did his best to stay in the fight and look for a way to win. And to me, that shows a lot of character. That showed championship heart. Yep. I do agree with Dom. I think he will be much better for this. And, he's a guy who comes from a kickboxing background. Perhaps he came in a little overconfident. And perhaps thought that maybe that damage that Kattar took against Holloway was going to be too much, and he would do kind of the same thing. It's just Kattar never allowed for that to happen. A brilliant performance by both men, an awesome main event, and kudos to both guys. Chikadze will be back, and he'll be better.
That Georgian blood, man, those guys are tough. There's no doubt about it. Kind of look like John Wayne Parr with all the facial stitches, though.
Yeah,
oh, my God, those
yes.
elbows. These Boston guys with the elbow. I mean, you Boston fighters are just nasty pricks, as Ken Flo likes to say. All right, so, I hate to always be bringing up Holloway Cater, but I'm telling you, bro, when I walked out of that arena in Abu Dhabi, I was shaking because of what Max Holloway did. I wasn't shaking with concern for Cater's well-being because he's so goddamn tough and was just so with it after the fact. But I just want to revisit these numbers. I tweeted them out today on Max Holloway. Ken Flo, like 744 significant strikes thrown for Max Holloway against Calvin Cater. He landed 445 significant strikes. So he landed 301 more significant strikes than Cater just landed against Chikadze. So 300 more lands. You can understand why President Dana White was, a little bit put off by all the damage, right? Like, dude, how's anybody going to come close to those records? Like, that is insane. Like, I have people responding to my tweet. Great responses, by the way, if you look at them. Like, just go try to throw 744 significant strikes in 25 minutes, like on a heavy bag or something.
Holloway's different, man. Holloway's just built different. That talk about level of pacing. I mean, look at Cater's fight. So how many significant strikes did Cater throw? Because I think you tweeted something about this.
400, yet less than Holloway landed.
It seemed like it seemed like he rarely stopped punching.
Right.
And you added another 300 some odd punches, and you're like,
I know.
How is that? Yeah, it's really hard to wrap your head around that. It's unbelievable.
If you went into a main event fight and your sole goal was to break the record just for significant strike attempts, I don't think you could even throw 750. I don't even know, man. Go watch Holloway Cater, but Calvin Cater deserves to be celebrated. This puts him right back into featherweight title contention, and going to be interesting. He's going to get a big fight, and I'm very happy for just a good, solid kid out of Methuen. All right. Also on the main card, you got to feel good for Jake Collier, father of 3 boys. If you saw some of the post-fight stuff, he dealt with a lot of circumstances leading up to this fight, totaled a car, gets the submission by rear naked choke over Chase Sherman. Sherman looked lean. Obviously he was giving up some size, and when the fight got to the ground, obviously it was all Jake Collier. But I like to think of Jake Collier when we called his fights back in the day. He was a middleweight. Remember him and Andrew Sanchez out of St. Louis, Missouri, the Bash brothers. I thought Collier's hands looked great, and he was able to get the submission and $50,000. You got to feel good for the father of 3.
As a pro fighter, these are kind of the fights that you want to have. You want to have a few of these under your belt where you go in there and you take care of business, bada bing, bada boom, didn't take any shots, literally just went out there, textbook performance. He's ready for the next one, ready to go right back into training, no injuries, no issues from the fight anyway.
Yeah.
Just a real clean performance, man. Really well done.
So when the doctor comes over to you after a quick finish like that, on a night where maybe there haven't been all these signature wins, you feel like maybe you got a bonus potentially, and I love those moments just as a viewer, because oftentimes I'm in all the television traffic. I can't watch it, but you watch the ringside physician go over to Jake Collier. Is everything good? And it's like, oh yeah, everything's fucking great
good,
right
bro.
now. Yeah, we're good, man.
Well, it's especially good too, because you look at the way Chase Sherman fights. Dude, he can drag you to hell, right? I mean, he has this ability to make it a war. And when you're able to do it against someone like that, it just makes it that much better.
Jake Collier out here, like, I'm going to go crush that post-fight buffet too. I'm no longer a middleweight. I'm a heavyweight. All right. So Brandon Royval over Rogerio Bontorin by split decision. Close fight, entertaining fight, as all Royval and largely Bontorin encounters seem to be. What were your thoughts on this feature bout at flyweight, and ultimately Royval continuing his ascent here?
I did not know which way the judges were going to go, in this fight. I thought that both men had an argument, for winning the fight. I think, like a lot of people, the judges were impressed with Royval, a guy who just fights like he's shot out of a cannon. And he just doesn't stop moving, man. It's like trying to control a 4 or 5-year-old. It's like he does not stop doing something. Like he'll be in side control and he's trying to hit you with elbows or hit you with his ass or hit you with his, shoulder. Like he is scrappy as they come. And he's looking for the finish at all times. I'm still a little concerned with him because I love the fact that he's aggressive. I love that. He needs to just get a little bit more technical and stay within himself a little bit more. I don't know if it's losing too much of his emotional connection to the fight or something, but either way, he's a phenomenal fighter, and I love the way he fights. But I think a more elite fighter is going to take advantage of some of those positions that he was giving up, or some of those things where he was giving up, where he was getting hit with some big shots like that, right, that overhand. So he's got to be careful moving forward. I'd like to see maybe not more conservative, but a little bit more technically sound with his approach. But it was a fun fight to watch. Both guys were going for it. And I just love Royval. He's always looking for the finish, man.
He had some interesting things to say after the fight, and he seemed to be emotional when he was saying them, but it sort of speaks to some of what you're saying, that he kind of just views these contests, and that's probably the worst word I could have used right there, but he views these fights as if he were in middle school. Like, all right, I'm going to be fighting that kid.
Right.
These people are rooting for me, some are rooting against me, but that's sort of his mentality, that he's just going to fight somebody. And I do believe sort of going to a different depth in terms of that might help him. But it's like, dude, how watchable is this guy? Like, imagine being a fight fan and being like, yeah, I don't really like watching Brandon Royval fight.
Right,
like,
exactly.
What kind of miserable bastard you gotta be. Yeah, I don't really like watching Brandon Royval fight,
Dude, he's awesome to watch. He's a little Wolverine, man, a little honey badger. I love it.
Actually, if you know what? At AnikFlorianPod, how about this? If you are so curmudgeonly that you don't enjoy watching Brandon Royval fight, someone will be like, yeah, I just think he's like a rat. I don't really like it. All right. If you don't like watching Brandon Royval fight, at AnikFlorianPod, and if you can give me a thoughtful answer, I might even give you 2 tickets to a future pay-per-view.
Hey,
Brandon Royval's the man. I did think it was close, though. I thought they might go Bontarine, entertaining fight. And I liked Bontarine's physicality. I like the flyweight division. I'm glad that it is seemingly here to stay. All right, before we get to Raymond Peter Longo, Katlyn Chookagian has 10 UFC wins. They're all by decision. I feel like she's underappreciated because of that. She leads the league in 30 to 27s. This was a clean performance and a domination of a fellow contender and former world title challenger. She's maybe forever the bridesmaid as number 2 in the world, but I do think that another win would be 4 in a row, and you'd have no choice but to give her another championship opportunity. Any thoughts for us on Chookagian and Maia before we get to the legend?
Yeah, I was really impressed with her. She was eating some big right hands from Maia, but made the proper adjustments in a couple different ways. First of all, her ability to put Maia on her back was the difference. And then when she started bringing her jab back into the equation. So great job in making the proper adjustments and doing what she had to do to win the rounds and win that fight. I thought it was an excellent performance. It was not mistake-free, but I still think it was an excellent performance from someone who, another win, she just might get another championship shot. Why not?
All right, congratulations to Katlyn Chookagian and the entire corner. Our good buddy Mark Henry, diehard Buffalo Bills fan. I'm not sure if he's a season ticket holder, but he's
laughing at us now.
He was not at the game in 5-degree temperatures because he was cornering Katlyn Chookagian. So, Mark, if you're listening, and I know you are, congratulations.
That was hard for you to say, dude. That was hard.
Well, I'm sitting on a big Buffalo Bills ticket, $450 at 12 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. No, I do that. Obviously, I'm trying to, take them out. But it's still alive right now. And I don't know. They're probably going to Kansas City. But we'll see. That could not be the case, actually, by the time a lot of people are listening to this. All right. A lot to get to with Ray Longo. Of course, his thoughts on Calvin Kattar, and it is actually fight week for Team Ciryl Longo. We can't say Ray Longo fight team on the air anymore. So it is fight week for Team Ciryl Longo. Let's get to Ray.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
What up, Ray?
Yeah, what are we probing about? What do we got? What are we probing?
Talking about Dominic Cruz potentially getting turned around quickly. Could you take out your chewing gum if you don't mind? Is that too much to ask? I don't know. Maybe that is. Honestly, your supporters are so staunch that that's probably too much for me to ask.
Holy shit.
They're going to rip you apart.
Mouth, you know? And I don't even care if on a Sunday night you center yourself up. You look handsome as usual. Like, I'm not trying to mess with you when I ask you to chew your gum out, but we have a lot of people who ingest this show audio only. Now he's playing with his gum.
Yeah.
My wife hates
you know
that.
why, John? Because I'm a 2-year-old. That's why.
And God love you for it. God love you for it.
Tell you what, I'm going backwards for sure. There's no question about it.
I know.
What was that movie? What was that movie called where the guy goes backwards?
Benjamin Button?
Yeah, see, I'm Benjamin Button, but I'm actually getting older, but I'm acting younger. It's a little different variation.
Never grow up. It's a trap.
Oh, by the time, I'll be down to 1 year old in about 10 years.
Well, you really do, though. You look great. I mean, it is amazing. You look our age, and you are a little bit older than us, but you look great. You look handsome.
Wow.
So you're wearing your Veracity Media Group t-shirt, which we appreciate.
Listen, I'm a team player, period. Team player.
All right. So I have a list of 6 items to get to with you today. I'd like to start with the Methuen, Massachusetts product, Calvin Kattar. I mean, those Bostonians are tough up there, huh? What else can you say about him coming back from where he was a year ago with that type of performance as an underdog against a then 7-0 in the UFC, Giga Chikadze?
Man, what can you say? What a performance. Really interesting. Look, I said it last week when you told me the guy was an underdog. Is he a live underdog? I'm like, I didn't think he should even be an underdog. I thought that was a pick'em fight, to be honest with you, just based on all the guys Calvin beat. And I know Chikadze was on a run, and I love the guy. I think technically he's awesome to watch. But, oh, man, that guy is Boston tough, man. He represents you guys about as good as anybody ever could. Yeah. And, look, I actually, believe it or not, I actually thought Calvin looked a little off last night, even in that performance. I don't know if he hurt his hands, but I thought he was holding back that right hand the last 2 rounds. He must have thrown a lot of jabs and all those elbows. I don't know if that's because his hands were hurt or he just didn't respect what Chikadze was going to do again. But, very, very interesting fight, right, Kenny? Because here's the question. If he doesn't slip in that first round, is that a different fight? That's where, because he definitely had a breakdown, I think, after – and that's a classic example when they say you should have zigged when you should have zagged, that type of deal. Man, did Calvin fight IQ 10+. He jumped on that, rode that guy out for 3 minutes, and that could have broke him. It was either that or Chikadze hit those body kicks early, and that guy just didn't even flinch. He walked right through him. So, I don't know. That was a great fight for Calvin Kattar coming off a really, a really hard beating that Holloway put on him, so, I think now Chikadze's in the same spot he's in. He just went through a 5-round war. He's going to have to regroup. Yeah. And I tell you, if they give him a guy as tough as Kattar again, that's going to, we'll see what he's made out of.
You always have an interesting take. Producer Cody writes to us that he thought Tyson Chartier was asking Calvin after the second or third if he could still go, maybe a fractured hand or something. And of course, it's all speculation. But Calvin does have,
John. Yeah, it had to be something, because I'm telling you right now, if he's got that right hand, that fight's over before the end of the fight. I thought he jabbed the crap out of him, and there were a million opportunities for that right hand that I think he would have gotten. So I was confused with that. And he did say after the fight too, he felt like shit, but all good. So something was wrong. I'm telling you, he did a great fight, but either that fight with Holloway took a little something out of him, or he was just a little off to me, because I think he's sharp as hell. And he's one of my favorite fighters. Who doesn't love watching Calvin fight, man? Yeah. That was a great fight, man. The fans won big on that.
And you got Kattar down now. You were calling him Calvin Kattar for 3 years, but Kattar, you got it down.
Calvin Kattar plays the guitar. something
There
like
you
that.
go. Yeah. It's always interesting to hear your analysis juxtaposed against Ken Flo's. And I think you're spot on in a lot of respects, at least as far as the post-fight footage that I ingested. He could barely crack a smile after the win. So that sort of jives with what you're saying.
Something was off, and he went into. I mean, he has to hold the record for the most elbows thrown in a fight.
I was just going to ask.
And I mean,
how many? I wrote down how many elbows did he throw?
Oh, I think he threw. Oh, you know what the answer is?
No, I was literally writing on my sheet of paper here.
Yeah.
How many elbows can one man throw in a 25?
Yeah. But you see, the difference is when Kenny used to throw an elbow, man, that guy was split wide open.
Right, fight's over. I get the wasn't here. Yeah.
Kenny wasn't like a 3-stitch elbow guy. He was like 70 stitches. When he caught you, you got to check his elbows. He
never fight fair.
You had razor blades. You had razor blades in those elbows, buddy.
Still does.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Because look how many. I'm telling you, the guy landed over 20 elbows easy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. And some of them with a lot of velocity and very accurately. Ken Flo make you go get some stitches, and even when he didn't cut you wide open, do you remember, obviously, the Lozon fight? Lozon's looking up at the Jumbotron at the swelling on his head, and it's like, yeah, you're pretty swollen. Ken Flo don't play. All right. In the nature of time.
John, I remember that night like it was yesterday, because I know, Kenny, you got out there very early, right?
Yes.
Acclimate?
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I had George Soteropoulos on that card, who was a cardio machine. And that guy's lips were blue after the first round.
Yeah, right.
That altitude is no joke.
It is, yeah.
No joke.
So people get upset when I say, "Oh, we got to move on" or whatever, right? As if like, why can't you give Longo 45 minutes? You're like, what are you, John? Where are you going? You got to go like put kids to bed. It's like, yeah, well, I got can't be here forever. I want to hold off on the time. All right. Well, I never know how much time we have with you.
No, I'm saying I love the nighttime.
You like the primetime show?
Hell yeah.
All right. Third primetime show in the history of the program. Yeah.
I love this. Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to get to 270 just yet because I have to get to one Merab Dvalishvili, the Candyman, the Boogeyman at 135 pounds. But if you go to his Instagram page, badly injured my clavicle bone, and the x-rays don't look good, by the way, if you scroll. Right. Fortunately, no surgery is necessary. Lots of physical therapy and time to heal. I will be back stronger than before. There's no doubt he'll be back stronger. Anything for us on how long he might be out? It looks to be a pretty significant injury, despite the fact that it won't require the knife.
Well, last week he texted me saying he needs surgery, did something to his clavicle, and the tendons were all ripped off or something like that. And then he came to the gym maybe like 3 days ago, and he said, "No, I'll be back. I'll be back in 2 weeks." No, John, I swear, the guy go, 2 weeks from what? Like after the no, really. And then Jamie Franco, who he's the wrestling coach at Hofstra. He goes, "Oh, I had the same thing," and he pops open his show, and his bone is sticking out there. He goes, "No surgery." So I almost think he won up Merab to where Merab's. Well, if he didn't have surgery, I'm not even joking. I don't even know, because as of that, right then, he was having surgery. The next day, he was out in Vegas. He said, "No surgery, physical therapy." So that's all I know is he did come in. He said something about 2 weeks. He didn't even. You would have never known that anything was wrong with him.
Wow. We got to get those x-rays to Dr. Gus Florian and see if not necessarily his chosen field. I'd like to get Dr. Gus Florian to look at the fucking x-rays. If we could do that, that'd be great. But no, I mean, Merab, it's like, of course he's going to opt out of surgery. It's almost like just, I don't know. I'm no doctor, but that scares me because he's a true machine. He's just
right. And we need him, John, for Aljo. That's why I'm glad the fight actually got pushed back, because that gives us extra time to get, because Merab would have been out of that training camp. So, we still got a lot of good guys lined up. Naoki's coming back, and we have some other guys I was thinking of bringing in. So we'll see how that plays out. But Merab is always great for that cardio push.
No, I didn't even think about that angle.
That was crazy. That's the first thing that hit me, and I think he'll do anything to get back to help Aljo. So I think that's the route he's looking at.
All right, UFC 270 beckons here on Saturday night. It is fight week for Matt the Steamroller Frivola. Not sure if his father, Sal the Bulldozer Frivola, is going to be there or not, presumably so.
He's going to be there, and he wants to meet you. I was just with him today.
He wants to meet me.
He wants to meet John Anik in the worst way.
Yeah, right. How far down the list is that request, huh? Of all the fighters and special people, he wants to meet me. I do shout the guy out.
Oh no, without a doubt, no joke, 100%.
All right, well, that's nice to hear. Let's
Sal,
go, Sal.
It's not a big deal to meet John.
It really is not. It really
he's going to be so disappointed. It's just going to. No.
It's really underwhelming meeting your hero. Really just awful. So it is fight week for Matt Frivola for Team Ciryl Longo. What can you tell us? I know you were with him today, final shakeout or whatever the hell you guys call it. What can you tell us about the steamroller as you guys get ready for wheels up to Anaheim?
I think, I stayed with him this whole camp because I think there's a do or die fight for him. And I think you're going to see some improvements. I hope. I think I made some adjustments that he's got to execute during the fight, but I hope we'll see a different Matt Frivola. He's a great kid. I had a great time with him, and I think he cleared out some wrinkles in his game. So we'll see what happens, but he's got to do it, right?
He is a -210 betting favorite against Renato Valdez. What can you tell us about Valdez?
Yeah, he likes to brawl. He swings his way into the takedowns. That's, basically it. Like, not the most technical guy, but looks like he's got a lot of heart and determination. But he's not technically good, but he's going to be there for sure. And he will make it a dirty fight if he has to. And Frivola is the favorite, -210. That's big.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's good. That's really good. Because he had a couple of losses recently.
Right.
So that's big.
Yeah,
Ray,
so that's go ahead, Ken Flo.
Sorry. Ray, I was curious how you were going to go in the main event. How do you think this fight between Ngannou and Gane is going to go down?
I'm gonna go with Ciryl Gane on this, and I'll tell you why. The only thing I don't like, and you guys will probably agree, I hate when they leak that footage of somebody getting wild. They always, like, the other guy always wins then. Like that, but you know what I'm saying? I just went back to Cody Garbrandt and Dillashaw. Like, I knocked him down, and
right.
Dude, it's almost, but I still think Gane's going to do it because Gane's not the guy that really released that. I think it was his coach, and even Ciryl said that the guy's a completely different fighter from back then. So his head is in the right spot. He's not using that as like, I knocked him down, I'm going to beat him again. I think he's a very intelligent fighter. I think he'll be able to control the pace of that fight. And I think you're going to see something in between the Black Beast and Ngannou. I think it's going to be similar. It's going to, obviously, there's a lot of patience with these two guys because Ngannou can end the fight anytime. But I think he'll be able to create more offense than the Black Beast with his movement. And he's pretty quick, and he's agile for a big guy, and he looks like he gets it. And I'm picking Gane on this one.
Ray,
so sounds like you're going over 2.5 rounds. You like a longer fight here, Ray?
Yes, I think they're going to be. I think it's going to be like the Black Beast, but again, he's going to do more than that. He could, he could chew up that leg without, getting in harm's way, and he's got a couple other things I think he could do.
Ray, in case anyone else who's listening is out of the loop like I am, break down this video that was leaked. What happened? It was sparring footage of those guys going at it? What happened?
He might have got hit with an elbow with elbow pads on and kind of wobbled a little bit.
Gane got hit and dropped? or
No, Ngannou.
Okay.
Ciryl Gane and Ngannou, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Leaked footage guy never wins, though, right? Right.
I don't like that at all. That's the only thing I got going against my pick is that.
Right.
But I like the way Ciryl handled that. Very, very professional. I think he's got a really good head on his shoulders. They're going to match up in size pretty well. The fact that they did train together takes out the, the Mike Tyson factor, where you're losing the fight before you even get in there with this guy. Yeah. So I think
you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, you know what you're dealing with. It's a little different when you don't know what you're dealing with, and like you can't take many of those shots. But
man, if any guy seems immune to that whole Tyson factor, it seems like Ciryl Gane. Could not have been less phased like fighting Derek Lewis. However imposing, the most decorated knockout artist in UFC history in his backyard. It totally unfazed.
And you got to go by common opponents, and Ciryl Gane had no problem walking him down and getting what he wanted, but Francis was definitely that fight was horrible. Like nobody, I don't even know if there was a punch thrown.
Yeah. Worst fight I've ever called, Gabriel Gonzaga, Konstantin Irokin in the heavyweight division. Check it out, UFC Fight Pass.
Wow.
Good color on you, Ray, that red. So where will you be for the main event? You got a red eye back to New York. At least right now, the way the fight card shakes out, you guys are second fight of the night.
Yeah. No, I'm going the next day at like 2:00. So I don't know. We're hanging
All right,
out.
so yeah, maybe we should hang out and eat some chicken wings and
yeah, maybe a glass of Chardonnay.
You a white wine guy? Yeah.
No.
All right. All right. Yeah. What's the last alcoholic beverage you had? What was it?
I'm gonna say it was Grey Goose on the rocks.
All right, nice. Mine was a Modelo brewed for those with a fighting spirit.
Wow.
I had a P3 protein stack on the fucking side.
That's shameless at this point. So you had the
no.
So you had a P3. You had the same thing I had. A piece of.
He's warming up for this weekend, Ray. He's warming up for this weekend.
P3, a piece of. Okay, Kenny. The P3, a piece of bologna and 3 almonds. I mean, I don't know. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I always feel so full when I eat one of those things. Yeah.
Right. Hey. A lot of protein.
Ray salty they didn't give him the voiceover option. They gave it to Sarah for the Aljo commercial.
These fighters gotta cut weight.
A lot of protein, probably about 3 grams. How much protein though, Kenny? How much protein does bologna have in it?
I have no idea. Not much. Not much. I mean, what is this? Like a little piece of bologna about that big? It's like a quarter.
Like ham and
you got a quarter size bologna. You got 3 almonds.
Piece
cheese.
of cheddar cheese the size of a dice.
My daughter would be all over it. My daughter would love a P3.
Oh, yeah. My
Dr.
dog Lucky loves it too. I shouldn't make fun
Dr.
of it.
Florian doesn't eat it, but he would come on here and tell you that it's got 12 grams of protein, and you guys should at least.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. That's decent. That's good.
Gus just texted me. He's like, all right.
Yeah.
So, what? You got something else, Ray, about on the P3 front, or what?
Are you offended?
Not
by the P3?
Not at all. I brought it up. People have a lot of amazing jokes about P3. They say Anik only feeds his kids P3, the official protein pack of UFC.
Yeah, those kids wouldn't be doing too good if that was the case.
Well,
you're better off with
we just lost them as
Oscar Mayer P3 sponsorship for Ray Longo North.
Exactly. You're better off with Spam and a glass of formaldehyde. How's that?
There you go. There you go.
Kenny's on fire today.
I'm literally crying right now.
That's so good, right? All right.
Wait, what's the odds on Ciryl, Gane, and Ngannou?
You tell us what you think it is. Do you have no idea?
I'm saying Ngannou's a -140.
No, he's the underdog.
Is he the underdog? Wow. Yeah. Oh, man.
Have you asked anyone in your fighting circle who they think's going to win that fight? Or have you had any discourse? No, you guys are just focused on what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't.
This is just like podcast fod, right? This is just the filler in life. What we're doing right now is bullshit, right?
John, was Ngannou ever the favorite at any point during when the odds came out? No,
I believe it opened fairly close, but Gane was bet pretty quickly into favorite territory and has even been bet up over the last 24 hours or so. Gane is -150.
Okay.
And Francis Ngannou is +130. So very interesting. Very interesting.
Over under? What's the over under?
Over under 2.5 rounds right now.
Yeah. What's
As we in the business like to say, it's a little bit juiced to the under, if you know what that means.
What was
Price
that?
is a little bit steeper on the under. So if you go over 2.5 rounds, it's -105. If you go under 2.5 rounds, -125. You got to put down a little bit more to win $100.
Wow.
All right. Before I let you go, we have a trilogy to be completed. I mean, they could fight 4 times. I don't know that they will, but Deiveson Figueiredo is a +155 underdog against Brandon Moreno, who is -180. Now, my large thesis statement on Deiveson Figueiredo from a gambling perspective has been like, I'd love to see him on the scale first, right? But +155 is a huge number next to his name. What are your thoughts on the co-main event before we let you get back to your Grey Goose rocks?
Wow. I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno again.
All right. Thanks. Thankfully, you're not on television. They would say that was a little too brief an answer, but that's
Well,
okay.
look, I try to keep it on the mental side. I don't want to. You want me to get technical with?
No, I don't need your technical.
Everybody can do
Fucking
that.
8 o'clock at night on a Sunday. No, I don't need your technical breakdown at all. You know. All right,
they use words like defensive responsibility now, and I mean, shit. They just this whole fucking woke culture. They just make up terms. I don't even know what they're talking about. Distance management. What the hell? Range. Oh, yeah, we've been saying that for about 200 years. Now it's distance man. Oh, I saw John put a lime in his drink. Oh, I mean, are you guys?
If you use big words, you sound smarter.
100%. Right. I like that.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what type of trash you're talking about the commentators when you're watching these live events, right?
John, it's not good.
Well, but so much of my life.
I always say this: if the world ever really knew who I was, they'd hate me.
Right, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. Yeah. Well, no, my twin brother says to me all the time, it's like, it's amazing people think you're like the nice guy to whatever degree in this space. Like,
you are the nice guy in this space.
Yeah.
You're
all right.
nice
Well, hey, I wish you guys safe travels to the West Coast. I look forward to seeing you. And maybe we can maybe break bread after the fights on Saturday night. Well, you got to get this one home for the steamroller. You know, it sounds like
this one is. I'm really invested in this. I'm hoping the steamroller comes through. So I think he had a great camp. He's healthy. I'll see him again tomorrow, and then that's it.
By the way, how about Tuesday, early Tuesday? Yeah,
Tuesday.
Yep, Hooker's Tuesday. No.
Oh
early,
shoot, Hooker Tuesday.
No.
Wow, I tell you,
I got to do the show.
He was a nice guy, right up until the Hooker statement.
By the time it gets to this stage of the night, I was gonna say, how about Caitlin Chukagian with 10 UFC wins? By the way, like she just dominates, right? And she's exceedingly fun to watch. Like I think she's getting more fun to watch.
Listen, I believe she sparred a lot in the gym at my gym. She sparred Jenny Nadell and Mia, another girl we have in the gym. Every week she was in there sparring. I think they gave her great work for that fight, and she was trying different stuff. She didn't want to move as much. I know you guys were alluding, or somebody was alluding to that. You weren't there, but she did sit down on that right hand a couple of times. I think she connected once and missed a couple of times, but I thought she looked different. She was willing to sit in the pocket, and I love the way she used the teep and the front kicks just to off balance her coming in.
Yeah.
Great fight for her.
Great performance. Yeah, Kempful and I were not on commentary. Do you think we were on the fucking sticks on Saturday night?
I don't know.
We're not there. As you guys are talking shit. Kenny and I weren't there, by the way. We were home.
No. You had to see Bisping and Krause just bickering at each other. It is unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I was on mute. They don't do their homework, so I was watching it on
mute. No, let me tell you something, John. Nobody does their homework with you. That's not gonna ever happen.
Thank you, Ray. No, everybody works. They all work, and I didn't watch on mute, or maybe I did because I was watching the New England Patriots get fucking foot stomped on the curb by the Buffalo Bills last night.
Wow. Did not know that. So sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
What a shame, Kenny.
Yeah.
But you had Calvin Cater.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least we
That's
got
all
something.
you needed.
Right. Yeah.
That's the heart of Boston right there.
Yeah.
He did amazing.
Really amazing. I tell you, well, he deserves a title shot. He really does. That'll be a good fight, him and Volkanovski.
Yeah. All right, real quick, 30 seconds. In the nature of good content, 8:23 p.m. Eastern right now on a Sunday night. What does the rest of your night hold? You don't go to bed till probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. What are you going to go do right now?
We're going to watch a little family TV.
Okay.
The finale of Yellow Jackets.
All right.
Everybody's excited.
Yeah, it's a good show. All right.
I love it. Yeah, it's good.
All right. Well, have a great evening. Thank you for your time. I look forward to shaking your hand, in the face of Omicron in a few days.
Let's just switch that to a knuckle bump if you don't mind.
That's fine. Whatever you want.
Okay, good. Yeah.
All right. Hey, much love, man. We appreciate you, and thanks for being here on a Sunday night. I'll see you in a few days.
Good luck, Greg.
Love you guys, man. Take care.
Love you too, brother. There he is, the Ray Longo Minute every week here on the Anik and Florian podcast. All right, time for the pronunciation of the week before we make our selections for UFC 270, as we welcome on Cody Merrow, who has the nerve to wear New England Patriots merchandise. Yeah, he
shrinking my chair. Not very proud of it right now.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I don't have my Bucks jersey on.
Right, that would have been the one. All right, well, let's get to the pronunciation of the week. This is a flyweight. She fights out of Ontario, Canada. Had a win on Dana White's Contender Series last September. Now makes her UFC debut this weekend. It's the first fight of the night, at least right now at UFC 270. She fights 22-year-old Kay Hansen. Now, Cody, I know you watch the Contender Series from time to time. Perhaps you know this name. Who am I talking about? You don't know this name.
No. Yes, Kenny?
No, I was laughing.
No.
I don't
flying blind.
I don't know if you could tweet us at AnikFlorianPod how many of you are solely audio only in terms of this program, but I feel like I should spell Jasmine's last name because for a lot of people, it's like, what is it? So it's spelled Jasudavicius.
Whoa.
And she's
First
Canadian.
name Jasmine.
So
she's
I'm not
Canadian.
getting much help there.
Cody, who are we talking about, though?
Lithuanian origin, Jasmine Jasudavicius.
Right. So it looks like Jasudavicius. So if you don't cheat, and Cody clearly hasn't cheated, right? But it's so I'm getting ready to voice the show, Ken Flo, right? He's like, all right, Jasmine Jasudavicius, right? Because I didn't see her fight on the Contender Series. I'll watch it this week. So I'm like, all right, Jasudavicius. All right, so let's hear how Jasmine pronounces her name, Cody.
Jasmine Jasudavicius. Jasmine Jasudavicius.
Jasudavicius.
Right.
Oof.
So
nobody's getting that.
Right. I mean, right.
Yeah.
You're 0-2.
Except maybe Joe Martinez. Joe Martinez might knock that out of the park.
I guess if you're like a Jeopardy, like word origin root guy, you could look at Jasudavicius on paper and say it as Jasudavicius. But I got to stop pronouncing it the wrong way because in a few days I got to say Jasudavicius without phonetics. But yeah, man, that's our world. So
wow.
People seem to like the pronunciation of the week. All right, it is just about time. Thank you, Cody, for UFC 270 heavyweight title fight between the undefeated Ciryl Gane, the knockout king and champion Francis Ngannou. Now, Ngannou is the bigger power threat, but really for both of these guys, it could only take one punch to win, and the same goes for you at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. New customers can bet just $1 and win $100 in free bets if either fighter lands a single punch. Also, if you'd rather bet this weekend's football playoff games instead, DraftKings has a special offer for you there. New customers can get 56-1 odds on any playoff team. You bet just $5 on one team, and you will get $280 in free bets if your team wins. How do you not like that? I'm cold as ice, but $5 on one team, $280 in free bets if your team wins. So much going on in sports right now. Good time to get in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code John Anik, one word, JONANIK. Throw down just $1 on the UFC 270 main event and win $100 in free bets if Gane or Ngannou land a single punch. That is code John Anik this Saturday at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. Must be 21 or older. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, UFC 270. Honda Center, Anaheim, California, 1/22/22. Let us get to the main event challenge.
It's the main event challenge. Anik.
The time is most definitely now.
Florian.
I finish fights. I'm going to do everything possible to win.
The main event challenge. The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
And what an absolute privilege. Like, I'm not worthy to be joined by both of these guys for this segment every week, but we are now joined by UFC veteran James Krause, who is home from Las Vegas. So I knew you were working this weekend and you were cornering and one of the best coaches in the business, obviously. Now, had I known that you had 4 guys competing, and I know one of them was obviously stepping up and stepping in, you know, here I am barking at you, trying to get you on a Sunday night. I feel like a complete dick, but here you are, you know, bringing our average age down a lot. Stepping up. So welcome home. Welcome home. You know, a lot of up and down this weekend, but dude, that had to be kind of a whirlwind of a night. 4 of 11 or so fights were yours.
Yeah, man. Listen, this is what I tell people. It's like, and I'm getting better about this. I really am. I made a post about this not too long ago, but it's such a roller coaster of a game because like we had a lot of success last year, and with success, with wins comes tougher opponents, and tougher opponents come the margin of error goes down. If the margin of error goes down, one mistake can cost you the whole fight. So, we didn't do great this weekend, but I said this in my Instagram post. Is like that doesn't always tell the whole story of what Kenny can attest to this. Just because you lose doesn't tell the whole story of what these guys are doing behind the scenes. They're doing all the right things. It's just we had some tough matchups. Took one on 3 days' notice, and then we had a couple really really killer prospects in there. And it's like that sometimes. So he's got to adapt and overcome. But for me, it was a really cool experience. I got to coach 4 guys on there. I've done 3 a few times in the UFC. I've done 15 before on my own show. But that's different. I got a lot of help, man. But here it was crazy, man. Especially with Kroom taking the last minute fight. We didn't have coaches come, you know what I mean? It was literally a thing like, hey, can you get on a plane? Can you have a flight in an hour and 15 minutes? Can you make that? It was pretty crazy. So
that's nuts. And he was competitive.
Yeah.
He should be commended.
So, I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, no, you should be, man. All right, so you posted on social media 48 hours ago. I mean, you got a hot microphone. I got to ask you about this. A picture of yourself, hands humbly behind your back. The caption read, "One more or not."
Yeah.
That sounds to me like maybe you're getting the itch a little bit or not.
Yeah, the itch is it. Listen, man, this is the hardest part of it, and I bet Kenny can tell you this. This is the hardest part about the sport is the itch. I don't think it ever goes away. And that's the problem. That is the problem, right? Is and so for me, I think the best way, like anytime you're getting rid of something, and I think people, we're going to go into AA real quick. I think you deal with addiction. You can't just pull somebody away. You got to replace, right? Like, so you can't just pull something. You have to replace with something. And for me, competing as a coach now that's how I get my my dopamine. And but especially when we walk in those crowds, oh man, that walk with the crowd is what gets me. That's what gets me fired up. And man, it's tough. It's tough. So it's if I did ever fight again, it would just be one more. And the thing is like I don't need to fight. I don't want to like. It's not that I don't want to fight. I have everything that I've asked for to leave this sport. I have it right now. The only thing that I don't have, and the only reason I would come back would just be to get some closure. Like, because my last fight, I didn't know it was going to be my last fight. It'd be like, hey, guys, this will be my last one. I'm done. But if I lose, no way I'm retiring. I'm not going to retire off loss. It's not going to happen. And then you get back into the get back into the vicious cycle again. And I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So it's really tough for me, It has to be, it's got to be the perfect scenario.
It's like trying to leave the mafia, they drag you back.
It really is. It really is.
All right. So the breaking news, the headline is Krause refuses to fight at the Apex, right? It needs fans. No, I'm with you though, right? Like if it is going to be the last one or one of the last one, I can understand why guys would prioritize that. It's a huge part of things. I don't even want to get into the whole octagon size thing. But like, I feel like we need one uniform octagon, man.
It's real. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. That, and I try to tell everybody this, that and Fight Island, they're real factors. They're not only factors, they're real factors. Like, could possibly change how the fight takes place. These are real things.
Dude, especially at the elite level where all those little things matter. You know what I mean? A bad hair day could be the difference. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
The last undisputed UFC heavyweight championship fight between Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic was in a 25-foot octagon at the Apex with no fans. It's insane.
That's like regional level size. Like,
it's nuts, man. Thank you. Thank you. Listeners, take it from him and not from me. DC and Stipe completed their trilogy in a regional octagon, and crazy. Joe Silva always wanted the little guy, and Dana was resistant to that sort of hope of Joe Silva's. Obviously in the big arenas, you need the 30-footer. A lot of fans, I think, ask why we can't put the 30-footer in the Apex. I think there's something to do logistically with the production and the lighting. I don't know. Right. I mean, that could be solved. Right. And then there's a lot of people who are like, no, you get more finishes in the little guy. But I love that. So it sounds to me like you would prefer the larger octagon. Is that?
I'm indifferent on which one, but I don't care. I just it doesn't matter to me. It's just it's a thing. It's a factor.
Yeah, right,
you know what I mean? It's
right.
like if I were to take say we say, hey, no takedown. That is a big factor that could change how this fight is taking place. So to me, I'm indifferent on it. Just tell me the rules.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you guys. I actually like that it changes. For me, I'm very good at adapting and setting new game plans. So I feel like a lot of and this is like a transitional thing from old school coaching to new school coaching. I feel like a lot of the old school guys, they dismiss little things like that. And it's like, oh, it's nothing. It's not going to matter. You just stay behind your jab or what, you know what I mean? Like bullshit. It matters. It's a real thing. Yeah. And I like that it changes. Like if you think for 1 second that you're going to stick, you're just going to stay behind your jab in a 25-foot cage, it's a lot harder to do than in a 30-foot cage. And it doesn't sound like much, but it's not 5 feet. It's 5 feet all around. And it's a lot of space, guys. It's a lot.
Know your terrain. Know your environment. Matters,
and I want to ask Ken Flo sort of which cage he'd rather compete in. But like as a fan, James, I sort of see your point. But as a competitor, it's like, is he going to have certain NBA games on a smaller court? I mean, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fought against Gilbert Burns in a 30-footer, and he fought against Bilal Muhammad in a 25-footer. Now, you can argue that Bilal's win was more impressive, but to me, to beat a striker like Wonderboy in a 30-footer the way Gilbert Burns did, 100%. That's a whole different thing.
Well, if you guys remember watching when COVID first happened, if you guys remember watching the NBA with no fans, different people were hot. Like it's a real thing, man.
That's true.
It is a real thing, and for people to dismiss it is absolutely insane. Especially it favors the wrestlers a ton, and it forces you to fight. Like there is no footwork doesn't matter as much, and that's why we talked about last week with the Chukagian fight. I said she has a very, very educated lead hand and she has good feet. Is it as big of a factor? It makes me worry a little bit more. Right. I still think she's going to get it done. I was spot on with that fight.
Yep.
Just educated lead hand and good feet got it done. But if it was in a 30-foot cage, it would have been even worse. No doubt in my mind.
Kenny, you competed in both, obviously. Did you recall thinking much about that at the time?
It depends, right? Because it also depends on what your strategy is and who you're fighting. If you're fighting a guy who is, wrestling heavy, for example, I would prefer a larger octagon so I could use my feet. I got more room to move, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm looking to take someone down and initiate more clinches, then I would prefer a smaller cage. So it really depends. And like James said, it's like, I don't know, if you're a true mixed martial artist, you have more options at your disposal and you should be able to adjust. If you are kind of a one-trick pony or you kind of fight the same all the time, then I would think you would probably want some kind of consistent cage or consistent size. So it really matters who you're fighting and what your approach is.
Yeah. Interesting conversation. All right. First updated standings of 2022, new scoring system. So both had Giga Chikadze, if I'm not mistaken. I know, James, you were very convicted the fight would at the very least go over 2.5 rounds, and it certainly did. We give you credit for that. Minus 2.3 units, though, for both of you on that fight. Krause, you did have Caitlin Chukagian as the favorite. Kemflo took a shot with Jennifer Maia, and then you both had Brandon Royval versus Rogerio Bontorin. So 1 unit a piece gained there. So to begin the year, Team Krause at minus 0.3 units. Team Florian is at minus 2.3.
And you're lucky you didn't give me the prop because I actually picked her by decision too. That was minus 135.
I know we got to figure out a way for you guys because it's not true that you're both in the minus, but it is what it is, and all I can do is, go by what we have on paper. All right. We spin it forward. UFC 270. The card has undergone some changes. We got 4 picks for you today on fights that we do expect to end up on the pay-per-view main card. We'll start at bantamweight, James. Said Nurmagomedov minus 200. Cody Stamann plus 170. A little background on Said Nurmagomedov. 3-1 in the UFC. Has not fought, though, in a long time, since October of 2020. Visa issues pulled him out of a fight with Jack Shore that was to go down last September. On the other side, you got Stamann making his 10th UFC appearance. James, what do you think?
Who's this one lost to?
In the UFC for Nurmagomedov, I'll get that for you in a matter of moments.
Yeah, so I got to be honest with you guys. I'm gonna take Cody Stamann. I like Cody Stamann a lot, and I think it takes a certain style to beat him. And I think Nurmagomedov has that style, but man, there's a lot of X factors in with his game that I don't like. And that one loss is to Ronnie Barsolas, and that's a really tough. He's good. He's really good. I really like Cody Stamann, man. I don't think there's a lot of guys that are going to beat him, so I'm going to try to get some plus money here. I wouldn't be surprised if Nurmagomedov won this fight at all, but I don't feel like the line is just. I feel like Cody kind of gets disrespected often, and I think he's plus 170. I'm going to take the plus money here.
I agree with your assessment. He's 19-4-1 overall, Ken Flo, and it's a big pressure spot too, which you like. I mean, he's a hard worker, but his back is kind of up against the proverbial wall, right? Back-to-back losses, Jimmy Rivera, and then more recently, Merab Dvalishvili. What do you think about Stamann here against Said Nurmagomedov?
Yeah, listen, I think that James is right. I think that Cody is very much underrated. I think that he's got some well-rounded skills. Obviously, he has that wrestling background. Sometimes he gets, he gets a little off balance in some of his strikes, which opens him up to takedowns and stuff. And that's where he's going to have to be really careful here against Nurmagomedov. But yeah, I definitely see why James is picking him. This is not out of the realm of possibility that Cody wins this fight. But I like Nurmagomedov here. Yeah, so.
I thought coming into this show today that if I just picked the same picks as Kenny for the rest of the year, that I would be.
You just win, exactly.
Right. Well, and if you really wanted to negotiate, I know that's not your style, right? But since you've joined our show, I'm making you lead on all these picks, and
no problem. I don't have the pressure.
He just wants it. But now that you have the lead, you certainly shouldn't be leading on all of these picks. But we move on to a featured bout at welterweight. The UFC newcomer Andre Fialho. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I don't have the file yet. Andre Fialho, plus 235, the underdog here against Michel Pereira, who is the minus 300 favorite. Pereira's won 3 in a row, James. Has momentum, could be ranked if he wins here. What are your thoughts on him against the newcomer?
So Andre is a guy that if you're a hardcore fan, I know Kenny knows exactly who this guy is. He has to. If you're a hardcore fan and you watch this outside of the UFC, you know exactly who this guy is. And he is a nightmare. He's a terror. He's got big power. Very, very fan friendly to watch. A couple things I don't like about this fight is Pereira is so good at controlling range in and out. And we are in Anaheim, so this will be the 30-foot cage, right?
Yep.
Pereira is very athletic. You very rarely see him get hit clean. And Andre is going to have to make this a phone booth fight. And with that 30-foot cage, Pereira is super athletic. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. He's taking it on short notice. But I'm telling you guys, this dude is a problem. At 170, he's very good. If you guys watch, James Vick had his first fight outside of the UFC since being cut, and Andre put him to sleep really bad. And he's since, I think he knocked out somebody else since then. He's very, very good, very skilled striker, good power in both hands, very, very, very good striker. I don't like all the little X factors that go into this. I'm going to go Pereira, but I don't think the line is just. I will say that. If you guys are betting on Pereira, there's no way. For the show, I'm betting Pereira, but I'm not taking the line on that. No way. Right. And he's a monster. I don't know with all the little X factors if he's going to get this one done or not, but I have a lot of faith in him that he's going to do really well in the UFC.
Valuable insight there on Andre Fialho. Good strength of schedule for him. Also a win over Stefan Sekulic, who is a UFC veteran, I believe, still on the roster. So Muslim Salikov was the opponent. That is who Fialho steps in here for. And I believe he trains at Sanford MMA, and he's fought all over, Ken Flo. LFA, PFL, Bellator, UAE Warriors. Pereira 3-1 favorite here against the newcomer Fialho. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Pereira, he really has to be very careful here. Andre hits very hard. He's going to get his shot, and he's going to have an opportunity to get in there and land. And if he does, it could be over very quickly. I mean, he is very dangerous. So it should be a fun fight while it lasts. I think Pereira has been fighting so much smarter lately. I think he has learned his lesson. And if he did his homework here in his opponent, he really has to make sure that he keeps him at range. And that if he is close, that he kind of clinches him up. He's got to be real careful against this guy. But I do like his length. I like his athleticism. I think that's going to be a difference here. If he stays disciplined, he should be able to get the win. But there might be some scary moments. So definitely for the fans out there, watch this fight.
A lot of good scalps on the resume for Pereira, starting to pile up. Zelimi Madaev, Chaos Williams, Nico Price, all wins for Pereira. All right, co-headliner. Now I'm excited to see on which side you guys will fall. So the money on DraftKings Sportsbook, at least right now, seems to be coming in on the champion, Brandon Moreno. He is minus 180. Take it on Deiveson Figueiredo, who comes back plus 155. Obviously, a lot of recent history, James, between these two gentlemen. Figueiredo's made some changes since the loss back in June. He's in Arizona. Who do you think leaves the Honda Center as the undisputed UFC flyweight champion?
Yeah, I'm riding with Brandon Moreno again. I think he's got this guy's number. There's a couple things that I've seen in the two fights that they've had. I don't feel like Figueiredo does a good job pacing a fight. And why would he? He's knocked the dog shit out of everybody he's fought, except Brandon Moreno. And you're just not going to – I just don't see a scenario where you get Brandon Moreno out of there. He's obviously shown he's got one of the best chins in all of MMA. His jiu-jitsu is more than stellar. His jiu-jitsu is more than stellar, and he's just a complete mixed martial artist. I think he's going to find a late finish, or I could see a 3-2 decision or something like that. I just think he's got this guy's number, man. I think he's in his head.
No, I think that's a nice way to sort of break it down simply, right? And Brandon Moreno, he just, until I see somebody put him away, right? Like, I got to see it to believe it,
He took some huge shots in that first fight. I mean, just some monster shots that would just knock most guys just completely unconscious, man. He's got a good chin, man, a really good chin.
Kenny, it's interesting because the first meeting between these two guys, when they turned in that epic fight, fought to a draw, they both had fought and won quickly 3 weeks prior, right? So they really only have had 2 full training camps for each other, But I don't know, man. Figueiredo in that June meeting, it left him just really disappointed, hungry, and motivated. And I don't know if that's going to prevent Moreno from having his number. But I do think if ever there were a time we're really going to get the concerted best from Figueiredo when it comes to the fight before the fight and the weight cut and everything else, this has got to be the camp, and this has got to be the fight. Given that, is that enough to wet your beak with Figueiredo, Ken Flo?
Yeah, listen, these are two phenomenal fighters. And as we talked about earlier, there's so many factors that go into the preparation for a fight. And then there's so many things that could go right and wrong. And when you have that high skill level, one mistake, you zig when you should have zagged, and that's the difference here. So, for Figueiredo, I think we're going to see him at his best here. I just saw a picture of him, and that doesn't tell the whole story, of course, but he looks like he's already lean and ripped and ready to go. I like the fact that he's mixing things up and trying to integrate some wrestling and learn from Henry Cejudo and his camp. I think being in the United States is going to force him to focus, and it shows his commitment to get out of his element and prepare for a fight of this magnitude. And I'm sure it was after that loss where it really set in. Like, man, I'm not the champion anymore. What the hell just happened? You need to refocus and all that stuff. And it seems like he's doing that. So those are all good signs. Now, perhaps I'm a little biased here. Back in July, I had the opportunity, so I got to be forthright here, in training with Brandon Moreno and his team and seeing how they operate. And I came away extremely impressed. So back in July, he was preparing like he had a fight in a couple weeks. Like, he was extremely focused, extremely organized, extremely disciplined, training his ass off. And he just had the air of a champion. And I think that is critical here. And when you've had that success and when you feel you figured something out in your opponent, I fear for that other guy. And I think Brandon Moreno has done that. I think his confidence, his skill level is going to be at a different level as well. This is a guy who is getting better all the time. He's feeling himself now. He knows what he's capable of doing. And I think we're going to see another phenomenal performance from Brandon Moreno. Figueiredo, can he win? Sure. But I think Moreno is going to be that much better yet again. I like Moreno here. Let's go with a late finish, 4th round TKO.
Still giving us the round of the method of victory. We appreciate that. Do you guys remember Figueiredo's
Even though they
reaction?
don't have to do it. Yeah.
Right. You remember Figueiredo's reaction to after Moreno won? He's like so happy for him. And
he lifted his hand up and he was like cheering for him. Yeah.
And now he's back with the verbal vitriol, whatever. Very interesting. But I will say, and I've said this many times, Deiveson Figueiredo, if you read his subtitles, right, his Brazilian port, he is so smart and thoughtful. Like I'm
a dangerous dude, man.
Fascinated by both of these guys. I really am. All right. Main event. I'm not going to belabor the point. Ciryl Gane, the price seems to be getting steeper by the day. Minus 150 now is the betting favorite. Here's the interim champion against the champion Francis Ngannou, who is plus 130. Very interesting. Obviously, a lot of angles to this main event. Fascinating stylistic clash between the consensus two best heavyweights on the planet. James Krause, who do you like in the heavyweight title fight?
I think Ciryl Gane is a better fighter. I think he's got better footwork. I think he's a better striker. He's a better grappler. He's a better wrestler. I think he's a better mixed martial artist. So Francis.
All right, I do. Yeah.
No. I'm gonna take Ciryl Gane, but that's where we're at with Francis, right? Like, I mean, he doesn't need to be better. Let's really talk about this. Like Ciryl, I think Ciryl is the better fighter everywhere. I think he's the more technical striker. I think he's a better wrestler, better grappler. I think he's in better shape. He's definitely got better footwork. That doesn't matter when you have an eraser of a right hand. You know what I mean? Or left hand as well now. You know what I mean? And that's just – I think that's where we're at. So as we start to break this down, let's dive down the rabbit hole a little bit since this is the main event. What I love about Ciryl Gane, and I think we've seen glimpses of this with the first Stipe fight, is we've seen good footwork. And I think Francis hasn't – I mean, you really just don't see good feet at heavyweight. You don't see a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like, they're there, but the first guy that comes to mind that's done really well is Cain Velasquez. He had great footwork, and you just don't see that in the heavyweight division. Ciryl Gane has excellent footwork and range control, which is stuff you don't typically see at heavyweight. However, Francis has the ability to erase consciousness from anybody at any given time. Doesn't matter how tired he is. He still hits like a truck. He can knock you out with a jab, left hook, right uppercut, left uppercut. It doesn't matter. He's got the death touch. You know what I mean? And you just got to deal with that. I do think this is a really tough one for me because it's like one of those ones where I think Cyrill's the better fighter everywhere, really, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to take Ciryl as my pick, but man, don't be surprised if you see a Francis knockout. You know, that's just that. But that's every fight. Don't be surprised if you see a Francis knockout. You know, it's a tough one.
If you're coaching an athlete as gifted and skilled as Ciryl Gane, is there a particular approach to like the first 5 minutes versus the rest of the fight or not?
Yeah, you cook the first round. Head inside single to body lock, put him on the fence, cook him up. Yeah, I mean, and with Francis, it typically works a little bit better with it doesn't work with everybody. Francis he's just got raw power, right? Like, no matter how tired he is, he still hits hard.
Yeah.
He still can knock you out. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I for sure, and I think we've seen glimpses of this in the Giga fight, and the Qatar fight, like where Kattar grappled him. The grappling cardio is not the same as the striking cardio, you know? And I think Giga got tired after that first round from grappling and for 3 minutes, and it's just different. And I think if Ciryl is able to mix in, not even the takedowns, but just the clinch, get those muscles, flowing. And I think you could see him slow down a little bit, because with me, it's not necessarily with Francis. It's not necessarily about not getting hit by him. That's obviously a huge thing, but it's about just slowing him down where he's not that frantic. You know what I mean? Like that frantic, like that first part when you start the fight, it's like the energy's great. Like, you just want to settle him into the fight a little bit. Let him know that you're going to be here for a little while.
Right.
And I think that would be a good approach. But, man, he's the exception to the rule. You know what I mean? He can knock you out with a jab 23 and a half minutes into the fight, and that's just how it is. So it's a tough fight for both guys, in my opinion.
Oh, Ken Flo, I'm dying to see a pro fighter like go on the record and pick Francis Ngannou to win this fight. I mean, he's fucking Mike Tyson. Can one of you professional athletes?
Is nobody picking him?
No, well, I'm just, It's I have yet to find somebody now, and again, who have I pulled? Not that many people, right? But I have yet to find a pro
Well,
fighter.
shit, I'll pick him. I don't care. It's
No,
50-50
no,
to
well,
me. I
no,
mean, I will.
no. I like that you sort of feel like it's 50-50. But I feel like most people seem to be leaning towards Ciryl Gane. Ken Flo, what do you got for us?
Yeah, well, listen, I think it's pretty clear, right? If you're looking at it, if you're a pro fighter and you're looking at it from a skill standpoint, it's clear that Ciryl Gane is the better fighter. Ngannou is the most dangerous heavyweight there is. He's the most heavyweight. He's the most dangerous heavyweight on the planet. Okay. Is he the best fighter though? No, I'm still not sure if he knows how to really fight. Like, and it sounds crazy, right? Like he can knock you out, like James said, in a lot of different ways. He doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to touch you. Can he out-grapple you and do all these things? No, he's an athletic freak. The problem is Ciryl Gane is an excellent athlete as well. He moves really well. I mean, who has that kind of soft touch and movement and rhythm changes and fluidity like Ciryl Gane? I haven't seen it. And I think Ciryl Gane has more ways to win. But at the same time, whatever we were talking about the training footage earlier, 4-ounce gloves, when it comes to heavyweight, it's a totally different deal. It's a totally different deal. And if Francis catches him or anybody, you're in trouble. And, if we can get a little jejune here for a little bit and get a little childish here, but, the Lion, you look at the Lion, right? All its athletic traits and all its abilities and all the different ways that it can mess an animal up. The most dangerous animal in Africa is the hippo. They just need to chomp down on you once. That's it. That's the way I kind of see Ngannou. He's just so damn dangerous. He just needs one shot.
Yeah. I'm going to tell him you called him a hippo, Kenny.
Exactly. Yep. He's a Bitcoiner too, so I'm kind of cheering for him on the low.
There we go.
I love it. But Ngannou is just a big-time problem, man. And so I think if they start crashing into each other, I like Ngannou's chances. I think he's just so fast, and there's very few guys who are going to have that same speed and power like Ngannou. So Gane has to be very, very careful. The reason I'm so confident in Gane as well is the fact that we've seen him already go against guys who have tremendous power, and we've seen him out slick everybody. Like, have we seen Gane hurt? I don't know. Have we seen him in a tough fight? He's made it look easy, and he's just schooled guys. And he's a cool customer as well. Like, I've never seen him rattled. I've never seen him surprised. I've never seen him make major mistakes where I'm like, ooh, dude, if he does this against this guy. Like, right. I don't see any weaknesses. Does it matter if he gets hit by Ngannou? Again, he's got that kind of power. But I just think Gane has been schooled so well. Also, how many guys have a former coach on your side? Like, who has more information on Ngannou than Ciryl Gane? And I think Ngannou's dealing with a lot of stuff leading up to this fight. If Ngannou is able to win this fight, dude, I mean, I would be so damn impressed. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd be so impressed because obviously, you have the beef with Dana and the UFC. He's dealing with contract negotiations. A lot has gone on that end, so anytime you're dealing with a lot of stuff outside the cage, that's never a good sign. And, I don't know how he's going to react fighting a training partner, a former training partner who he knows is very skillful and very good. And he's going against his former coach as well. So again, the odds are kind of stacked against Ngannou here. So for all those reasons, I'm going with Ciryl Gane.
Oh, I could listen to you guys all night. I guess I'm just looking for like a pro fighter, somebody that I put on a pedestal like I do you guys, to just say, yes, Ciryl Gane is maybe the most skilled heavyweight I've ever seen, but you know what? The other guy is the most freakish combination of speed and power we have ever seen at heavyweight in the near 30-year history of the UFC. And so for those reasons, I'm taking that guy. I just find it interesting. I expected, James, that Gane would close as the favorite and that most of the pro fighters I talked to would be on that side. I'm very interested to hear from other people leading up to it. But Great job, fellas. Great fucking job with the second main event challenge of the year. More from James Krause at the James Krause on social media. What's next for you, brother, in terms of the travel?
UFC will be Houston, February 12th, I think that is. I have some I'll be at Fury at the end of this month, some regional stuff here and there. And then, I'm back to back. So we have, I have my, no, that's not true. February 5th, I'll be there. And then I have, Houston. And then I have Dana White's looking for a fight on my show that Sunday, the 6th, February 6th.
Big things. Might even fit in a pro fight of his own, ladies and gentlemen.
You never know.
Great stuff. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
There he is. The UFC's James Krause with us for the main event challenge. All right, poll results. About 3,000 votes. Which octagon size do you prefer? To my delight, 73% of you like the larger octagon. I thought it'd be flipped. Everybody'd be like, oh, they just kill each other in that little guy, all the finishes,
I voted, by the way, in your poll because I wanted to see what people were thinking in that. So I went with the bigger cage too.
I love it. I kind of I didn't mean to editorialize, but I was like, give me the big guy all day, as I have said ad nauseum. All right, final act, our pick to click. It's presented by oddshark.com, the most reliable source for sports betting information with the latest odds, insight, and analysis on everything UFC. Strongly would encourage you to check out oddshark.com/UFC to get all you need to know in advance of placing your wagers for UFC 270 this weekend. Oddshark Fight Center is live, key resource for fans. And I know the media uses that as well. All the matchup information compartmentalized in a nice ingestible way. Oddshark.com also giving you a compilation of all the odds from different sports books so you can compare prices. And their experts out there not only have great insight, but they are not rookies at this. I can assure you. They have been invested in mixed martial arts and handicapping MMA for a long time. So check it out in advance of the pay-per-view this weekend. Every click supports the Anik and Florian podcast. Thank you. Oddshark.com/UFC. Don't forget the second S. Let's get to the pick to click.
Time now for the pick to click. The pick to click.
All I have to do is bet on the winner, and I'll never lose.
The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
All right, well, it would not be a pay-per-view week without this man in your life. Now joining us to give you his thoughts on the two big fights at UFC 270. Sports betting analyst for oddshark.com. On Twitter, he is at JTFOZ. On Instagram, don't miss it, at Paper Chaser Joe. I've been known to watch his videos twice. Joe Osborne, Happy New Year, brother. Good to see you, man.
Guys, it's good to see you too. It's also good to see the New England Patriots.
Come on, man.
I'm a disgraced Miami Dolphins fan, so you'll get no sympathy from me. So it was kind of nice to see. I was hoping to watch a good game, actually. I ended up turning it off. It got so out of hand. But
yeah,
my God, that got out of hand, guys.
No, and as Bill Belichick said, their least competitive game all year. But it's interesting when I see like Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports say, now we know what it feels like. For a lot of the other NFL teams, and I do feel like as I get older, my heart sort of yearns for some of these franchises that have been down, not necessarily the Dolphins and the Bills and the teams within the division. Sure. But I like to see the Chiefs and Andy Reid break through as I get a little bit older. But for me, as a Patriots fan of the 1980s, I experienced all that shit before, so today's a bad day. I'm in a bad mood. Thanks for leading the dance with it today,
Yeah, it is. Hey, man, I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys urinate all over themselves on national TV right now. It's only the third quarter, so hopefully they can make a bit of a push. I took the over like an asshole at 51. Dallas has 7 on the board halfway through the third quarter here, not looking too good. Nick Bosa, the best player on San Francisco's and they can't do a damn thing about it.
Cowboys fans got to be just killing themselves right now. All right, let us talk about some mixed martial arts and then, time permitting, some NFL stuff on the back end before we get you out of here. All right, so the co-headliner, let me start there. Hope I'm not messing with your notes, but Brandon Moreno is minus 180, Deiveson Figueiredo plus 155 or so. Far and away the best price you've ever gotten on Figueiredo in the UFC. He has been an underdog before, but a long time ago. Total rounds over 3.5 juice to minus 125, under 3.5 rounds minus 105. Will you have a wager on the co-main event?
Yeah, I like the underdog here. Great number on Figueiredo at plus 155, right? If you consider the first two fights, he closed at minus 335 for the first one and minus 235 for the second one. And my logic going into this one, it's kind of along the lines of, hey, if these guys fought 10 times I think that they would split those 10 fights and they would win five fights apiece, right? And you go back and you take a look at the first fight. It was a draw. Figueiredo probably would have won if it wasn't for that point deduction in the third round, in my opinion. Some people do think he won anyways. And then that second fight, he just flat out got his ass kicked. There's no need to sugarcoat it, right? Fantastic night for Moreno in there. And it was a really bad night for Figueiredo. And as a result of that, we have some real recency bias cooked into this line. And the thing people have to keep in mind is a UFC fighter is just like a team in the NFL can have a really bad week, and they can come out the next week and show everyone, hey, that isn't who we are. It was a bit of a fluke, right? But in the UFC, or mixed martial arts in general, I guess, if you have a bad night, we might not see you again for another 6 months or so, right? So that's what sticks in people's mind. We saw Calvin Kattar last night, right? Everyone fresh in their mind was the beating he took from Max Holloway, and he looked fantastic. What a bounce back that was. But so yeah, look at this fight. So entering this trilogy, Figueiredo, I thought this guy was really, starting to make that ascension up the pound for pound ranks. And we saw what happened, right? Now here he is at the age of 34. He hasn't won a fight in a year, obviously. And this is clearly the most pivotal fight of his career versus a guy who I think he underestimated in that first fight. I don't know what the hell happened in that second fight, but I think he's taking this extremely serious. We've known that this guy is a guy who's had the weight cutting issues, and we have seen some images of him on social media where he looks fantastic. Sometimes you have to take that with a grain of salt, though. Right. But I do think he's taking it very serious. So I think we might see a bit of a shift in strategy here. Moreno, not an easy guy to finish. He has never been finished. Right. So maybe it's just not going in there in the phone booth and throwing bombs with him, maybe being a little bit more strategic with the striking. And there's one prop bet I absolutely love for this fight. So not all the books have prop bets out yet in Method of Victory, but I'm seeing Figueiredo at a major sports book to win by decision at plus 600. And I absolutely love that bet, guys.
6-1. Wow. How about that? All right. Good stuff.
Well, Joe, what about the main event, man? Big fight, obviously. Ciryl Gane taking on Francis Ngannou. Gane is the favorite. Do you have a bet in the main event?
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky one here. So Gane is my pick to win the fight, but I don't really think there's a whole lot of value on him at this point. When this fight first became official, I do the whole odds maker thing, and I figure out or try to take a guess what the line will be. And I thought to myself, well, getting Gane as an underdog, hey, that's a bet that I would be pretty interested in making. And then, of course, it's right at around a pick for, the last month or so. And now we've seen Gane shoot up to the minus 140 range. So not a whole lot of value on him. Like I said, though, I do think he wins the fight. But now with Ngannou as a decent-sized underdog here, I think that there's a decent case that you can absolutely make for him, considering he's coming off the most complete performance of his career, and he's on a 5-fight finish streak at the moment. But I like quite a bit how Gane's striking matches up with Francis's in this fight. I love his composure in the octagon. He's not a guy who's in a big rush. He's not a guy that takes a lot of damage. Francis also isn't a guy who takes a lot of damage, which brings me to the round over under. It's at 2.5. Now, you got to have some real balls if you're going to take the over 2.5 in a Francis Ngannou fight. But I don't mind that here, guys, at even money. We've seen Gane go over this in 5 of his last 6 fights, and I think his style of fighting might dictate the fight a little bit more than Francis's. And we have seen a history of Francis. It didn't happen in his most recent fight, but we have seen him slow down after the first round throughout his career here. Not that there's too many instances of him getting out of the first round, because he's usually finishing guys early, right? So I could see this one stretching out a little bit longer, so I don't mind that over 2.5 rounds at all. So pretty interesting, I wonder about Ngannou, what distractions there might be there. And, of course, a big storyline this week is going to be his contract situation with the UFC. There's some media outlets, they love to jump on that and throw it in people's face and hammer it home. So we're going to hear about a lot of that. So I don't know if that's something that could phase him at all, but maybe a tiny red flag, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an emotional component to this fight. You know, like when Ken Flo fought Joe Lozon, right? Isn't there a different emotional component, Kenny, and than fighting like Diego Nunes? Right now, I know Nunes was a title eliminator, and Jose Aldo obviously would be the fight, right? But like you and Lozon, like the Massachusetts guys, it's a main event. Like, aren't there different emotions, right? Like, I think there's an emotional component to this. They've shared the gym. I think Francis wants this one in the worst way, you know, and I see the money line just shooting up every minute, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny because you would call Francis, I guess, at this point, a square dog. Like if you do, I did a poll like a couple of weeks ago, who do you think is going to win? And 70% of the people said Francis, yet he's just becoming more and more of an underdog. And there's an adage in sports betting, square dogs have fleas. And it tends to be true. Yeah. Alabama Crimson Tide in the national championship game against Georgia last Monday. They were a square dog, right? So, yeah, it's a very interesting fight, and I cannot wait to see it.
I love it. I was on Georgia, by the way. I placed 72 bets over the last 6 days. I got real issues.
Wow. You're smarter than me, man. Maybe not for the betting amount that you're putting down, but for being on Georgia instead of Alabama.
I bet volume like just really dumb. All right, at JTFOZ on Twitter and on Instagram at Paper Chaser Joe. Hey, selfishly, real quick, in like 30 seconds, if you could, from me, because you took a shot at the Patriots. So I'm down here in South Florida. They fire Brian Flores, right? And everybody's blasting the firing, right? And there's a lot of people who don't like the quarterback too. I know you're a Dolphin fan. I know you like the quarterback, you know. But Brian Flores, who was a disciple of Bill Belichick to whatever degree, has been here 3 years, and the team hasn't been to the playoffs. So say what you want about the firing, but certainly that's not the goal when you hire him. You'd like to make the playoffs within 3 years, no matter what roster he inherited. What were your thoughts on what happened with the Dolphins there at the end of the season?
I think it's a real overreaction that the majority of people are having. Ultimately, I think, they probably should have hung on to him. But as soon as I saw that Schefter tweet that he had gotten canned, I thought to myself, well, there must be some real shit going down behind the scenes. And that's been trickling out all week, that there has been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. But this is a guy who's hired a different offensive coordinator and a different offensive line coach in each of his 3 years with the Miami Dolphins. And everyone wants to rip on Tua for the two measuring stick games, Week 17 last year and this year, with major playoff implications on the line. Yes, he did play horrible, but the Dolphins as a team played horrible too. The defense was god-awful in these games, and Flores is supposed to be the defensive mastermind. So some of that's got to be on him. He didn't take a whole lot of blame in those situations. I did not expect them to fire him, but it didn't seem like a very good situation behind the scenes. People who didn't like him really didn't like him, apparently. So we'll see what his next stop is, but I hope the Dolphins can get it right, because we're doing the restart thing. We're in the hamster wheel here, guys. Every 3 years, it's a hit the reset button. Yeah. And it's not fun. It sucks being a Miami Dolphins fan, to be completely honest with you.
All right, well, maybe we'll do a little bet next year. If the Patriots finish ahead of the Dolphins, I'll grow my hair out, and if the Dolphins finish ahead of the Patriots, just shave your head or something like that.
I don't know if it would grow back, man. So we'd have to do like a case of beer or something like that.
People are so afraid when it comes to the head. Like Ken Flo would never shave his fucking head. You know, I don't even have to ask the guy. All right, Joel, have a great week, great day, better evening, and hey. Thanks for fitting us in on a Sunday, man. I know it's not ideal. We appreciate your time.
Guys, you guys can call me minutes before a life-saving surgery, and I would pick up the phone and tell the doctors to hold on. So we're all good. Thank you guys for having me on. Good luck to you, and good luck to all your listeners.
There he is. Dude. Appreciate you, brother Joe Osborne. More content from him at oddshark.com. Ken Flo, you're such a sick fuck that maybe there wasn't like an added emotional component to the Joe Lozon fight, but you knew I was going to circle back. Wasn't there a different emotional component than someone like Diego Nunes, who you really don't know from a hole in the wall?
Oh, I think there's no question about it. I think that there's that mental component for a couple different reasons. You know, obviously we were both kind of representing Boston. We had kind of had a history, together, kind of coming up in the same organization, all that stuff. Obviously the media had kind of played it up a little bit because we were both from Boston, the battle for Boston and all that stuff. And then there was kind of some shit talking a little bit from the Lozon camp. So yeah, it definitely was a lot going on. The other thing, which a lot of people didn't know, is my back was really messed up leading into that fight. I had only trained like 10 days before the fight. Like 3 weeks before the fight, I had done 0 just to kind of salvage my back, and I was fighting at high altitude. So yeah, there was a lot of kind of, pressure, I think, for me anyway. And, it being a main event, all that stuff. So yeah, it can change fight to fight. These guys know each other really well. They spent a lot of time in the gym. All that stuff can play a factor. It can either shut you down. It can make you overly aggressive. There's so much going on in this fight, but yeah, I can't wait.
And by the way, UFC Fight Night, Florian versus Lozon. I'll just puff out our chest here for Team Florian just a minute. I know the Lozons and the Guidas don't like me, and I'm okay with that. As I grow older, there are a lot of people that don't like me. Broomfield, Colorado, go to UFC Fight Pass, April of 2008. That's a big win for Team Florian. Back issues notwithstanding, forget the training camp. Just go watch the ground and pound, folks.
Hey, and a little show started right after that called MMA Live for ESPN. So
right.
Yeah, it was a good
that
time.
was a whole other component to it, right? That the television pressure on Ken Flo at the outset, essentially, of his television career, knowing we were going to launch that show, there was a lot of pressure for him to win that fight. So I'd encourage all of you to go to UFCFightPass.com and check out that main event between Kenny Florian and Joe Lozon. It was a 3-round main event back in the day, and it did not go the full 15, right? 3-round main event, correct?
It was.
Yeah, judges not needed that night. Doctor needed, incidentally. All right, remember the show Back in Your Lives on this very channel coming up Thursday night with Bilal Muhammad and my twin bro Jason. AnikFlorianPodcast.com for your merchandise needs. Also, one more sleep merch at millions.co. Mary Johnmas, believe it or not, still works for 10% off your order. And don't forget Ken Flo's YouTube channel as well. If you want more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in your life, and candidly, every Jiu-Jitsu practitioner who I've ever talked to has told me how much it would add to my life if I were to make it a regular part of my life. So, maybe you go to Ken Flo's YouTube channel. Hey, maybe you get the bug. I haven't gotten the bug yet. I'm starting to get the itch a little bit, but not enough to actually put the gi back on. Maybe I go no gi with my new
no gi, dude.
Can we do that, please, Pahumpa, if you're fucking listening? Luis Claudio BJJ, shout out to LCCT. Just gave me a rash guard. I'll put on a rash guard. I'll put on whatever shorts. I'll even wear the gi pants if you want, but it's like, don't quiz me on the belt, right? I'll do fucking 200 hip escapes. Okay. Quiz me on tying the belt, right? So you quiz me on tying the belt, and then 43-year-old man, I need 40 forward rolls, So I'm dizzy. I'm fucking spinning on the curb outside. The class hasn't even started.
Bro, I would pay so much money to just and make sure that you couldn't see me, and I'd just be peering through the window, looking at you doing hip escapes and forward rolls. Oh my God! I gotta talk to Pound Pina. We gotta set it up, dude. I'm just gonna spy on you for an hour. Be amazing.
I don't even know. I know this shirt makes me look fat, but I've worked out every day of January. It's January 16th, right? But the jiu-jitsu thing, man, the forward rolls, I've talked to Pahumpa recently, bro, if we're doing privates, right? I haven't broached the whole gi, no gi thing because there might be a sensitivity. I'll put the fucking gi on if I have to. But I was like, dude, no more forward rolls, man. And he was okay with that, And whenever I offer that complaint to other jiu-jitsu practitioners, right, they're like, oh, we won't make you do forward rolls. We just want to get you in the gi so badly,
Oh, I love it, dude. That's gold.
I got to go. We got to go. We're back next Monday, January 24th. Full recap of UFC 270. Will it be Francis Ngannou or Ciryl Gane, who leaves the OC as the undisputed UFC heavyweight champ? Find out on pay-per-view Saturday. New pay-per-view prices for 2022, if you haven't heard. It got cheaper, I think. I'm not sure. Look forward to seeing y'all in about 48 hours after the pay-per-view next Monday, Jan 24. Thanks to our guests, Ray Longo, James Krause, Joe Osborne, our producer, best in the business, Cody Merrill. For Ken Flo, I'm John Anik. Thank you all for watching, for listening. Subscribe, tell your friends. We appreciate the support. Until next week, stay healthy. Don't text and drive. Yo, fucking later.